it's John from Heroes and Legends, and we got some more Hour of Devastation previews to go through today. Over the last 24 hours, we saw some good cards. There's a few here that I'm actually really excited about, actually more than a few. Typically, when I do one of these episodes, there's one or two cards I'm excited about. There's a handful more that I feel like are okay, but there's a number of cards here that I want to sit down and play with right now. So I'm really excited about this episode. Quickly before we get started, fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a couple ways to help support the channel, one of which is our Amazon affiliate store. If you make any purchases there through any of the links, a small percentage will come back to help us out. Secondly, you'll find our Patreon page down below as well. With that out of the way, let's get into these cards. We'll start off with Solemnity. This is a white and 2 enchantment rare. Players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So, there's kind of two sides to this card. On one hand, it's a huge hate card. I mean, this is a gigantic hate card. It hates out a lot of stuff. It hates out energy for standard. It hates out +1/+1 counters, which are really hot right now in Commander. It hates out Infect, if there's still a few people playing Infect in Modern, although it's a little bit down right now. But it hates out all that type of stuff, and then some. This is kind of like an all-purpose hate card that at any given time could show up in probably any format where it's needed. It only costs 3. You could throw this into a sideboard in Legacy, Modern, definitely going to see Standard play to deal with energy decks. This is insanity, right? But there's also an offensive quality to this card. There's some crazy combos you can pull off with this. And just to name a couple of them, Kitchen Finks, any persist card. Any persist card gets a huge benefit from this card being in play. Or you could go another direction, find things like Phyrexian Unlife, where basically you can't die. So this is crazy, right? And I don't even know what else to say about it. There are so many combos you can probably think of if you just sit down and kind of go through Gather and just collect your thoughts for a few minutes. These are just kind of off the top of my head. So let me know in the comments below your combos or what you would do with this card, because it just is so open-ended. It's kind of crazy. And this is a real good one. Let's move on to Fraying Sanity, and this comes to us from a Portuguese language spoiler. I love the name. I hope that translates into English like that, Fraying Sanity. A blue and 2 or a curse enchantment. Enchant player. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts X cards from the top of his or her library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards that went to their graveyard from anywhere this turn. Alright, so this one is okay to me. Obviously, it's a cool mill card. There are things you can do with it, probably definitely in the world of Commander. You can play this, maybe Traumatize. That could be a bad day for somebody. As far as Standard goes, I don't know if it quite gets there. I think it's just too reliant on other stuff happening. And because of that, I don't see myself spending 3 mana and keeping a slot in my deck for something like this. So I don't know if it quite gets there. But in Limited, I'd be happy to play this card. Even if it just mills a few cards over the course of a game, when you're dealing with 40-card decks, sometimes that makes a difference, especially if you have a deck that can grind out the game a little bit with a lot of high-toughness creatures and stuff. This could actually be a fun strategy. Now, you're not going to be able to pick up probably more than one, considering it is a rare. Even in a draft, you'd be very lucky to get a second one of these. But even just having one could be an interesting sort of side plan B for your Limited deck in either draft or sealed. Next we have Swarm Intelligence. This comes to us from a Spanish language spoiler. It's a blue and 6 enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So again, this does feel like a Commander card, and it's maybe sort of a fixed hive mind. I don't know. It's obviously a little more expensive, but on top of that, you also aren't making copies for everybody. You're just copying yourself, so it doesn't make the combos that work with Hive Mind and, say, some of the packs and stuff like that. So maybe they were trying to kind of make a version of that card that doesn't do that. I don't know. But it's okay. It's fine in Commander. Not too hard to cast there, and it gives you some extra utility out of your instants and sorceries. There's definitely decks that'll be very happy to run that. I don't really see myself running this most of the time in the Limited world, because so much of your deck consistently is creatures. Not always, but most of the time. And then secondly, I don't really see this making it a Standard with this kind of casting cost. Neheb the Eternal. 2 red and 3, it's a 4/6. Legendary. Zombie Minotaur Warrior. Mythic Rare. Afflict 3. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add red mana to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So do note, it is opponents for those multiplayer games. Now, there's a lot to like about this card. First off, I love the flavor. Just the fact that we see Neheb again, this time bigger, a zombie version that's been kind of maybe twisted by Nicol Bolas. The quote is awesome on the card by Nicol Bolas. So I love what they're doing with this character and this card to begin with. The card itself is also quite good. I mean, first off, a lot of times in red, it's hard to find value in like that 5 drop. And getting a 4/6 for 5 can be almost unusual at times. Usually red doesn't quite go that big. So a 4/6 with other abilities attached onto it for 5 mana feels pretty good to me. Now it is legendary. Sometimes that will be a drawback, but in other cases like Commander, that could be a benefit if you want to make this your Commander. But what I like about this card is the Afflict 3 and the potential mana boost that you get. And those feel like, to me, sometimes things that are going to happen in different types of decks. For example, if I'm in a aggro deck, maybe this is the top end of my curve, and I don't really care too much about the extra mana, but what I care about is having this 4/6 that can get in a rumble, and even if they block it, I'm still doing 3 damage. Like, that could be quite potent. Or maybe I'm in a big red deck, and in that case, the extra mana might mean more. I want to cast some big crazy spell, or just split a fireball, or something like that, right? So there's a lot of different things this card can do. It fits in a lot of places. I do think it's standard playable, again, especially if we see an aggressive red deck at some point, or maybe a Rakdos or Boros deck. I feel like this could get there. The other place I really like this is Commander. Like I said earlier, it could be your Commander, but even if it's not, it's a great way to just add a whole bunch of random mana later and just pull off some huge crazy spells. So I like this card quite a bit. Alright, let's move on to a card that was a Chinese traditional language preview. Ramanep Hydra. A green and 3. It's a Hydra, of course. Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. As long as you control a desert, this gets +1/+1. As long as there's a desert card in your graveyard, this gets +1/+1. It's a 3/3. And it's a rare. So, this card, I like it. The one thing you do want to remember, though, is not too long ago we saw Woodland Wanderer back in Battle for Zendikar block, right? And that card is similar in some ways. Now, it didn't have Reach, but it had Vigilance and Trample. It was coming into play basically as a smaller creature, but depending on how many colors of mana you use to cast it, it could be bigger. This doesn't do that, but of course it does have a way to perhaps come in as a larger creature, so it's just a different way to do it. And unfortunately, Woodland Wanderer didn't really do so well in the meta. So the question is, can this card get there in the meta? It is different enough that maybe, is my answer to that, I guess. It does have Reach, which is a nice bonus, and maybe it's easier for some decks to get the benefit from the deserts than casting a lot of different colors. I don't know. The meta will tell as we move forward. Just depends on how prevalent deserts will be in the meta. If they're good enough to cross over and create a standard deck that wants to use them, basically. If that happens, maybe this card does see play, but I think it's a little early to call that at this point. Now, beyond that, this is great and limited. Like, super happy to play it. Even if I don't have any deserts in my deck, still I'm getting a 3/3 for 4 with some upside to it with the Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. I'm real happy to be running this in limited. Alright, let's move on to the Locust God. And you can see here we have the regular version as well as the Invocation version here on your right. This costs a red, a blue, and 4 legendary creature god, mythic, flying 4/4. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. If you pay a red, a blue, and 2, you get to draw a card, then discard a card. And when this dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Wow, there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, first off, yes, it's a little higher on the cost side. It's 6, but it is doing a ton of crazy work for you. I mean, it's a 4/4 flyer on its own. And on top of that, whenever you draw a card, you get a 1/1 flying haste creature. A 1/1 flying haste creature. That is insane. And on top of that, you can use it as a looting mana sink too, which is also, by the way, giving you these 1/1 flying haste creatures while you do it. Not to mention the fact that it has that God phrase at the end, too, that says when it dies, it goes back to your hand, the next end step, so you get to keep playing it. It's really hard to get rid of. There is just too much to like about this card. Phenomenal. It plays well with the other God. I'm assuming they will both play well with the third one once we get it, and that's probably a thing that maybe in Commander or something some people will try to assemble. But aside from that, this is amazing. All you have to do is get this thing on the table and start drawing a few cards here and there. And it can just be little card draw spells, little cantrips, and you're just getting value every single time. It just starts to add up and add up and add up. Or you can just simply keep looting. If that's all you have to do, you just loot and you keep making these insects. And you keep going through your deck. Could you imagine this as the top end, maybe finisher for a control deck? They might not be able to play it right away. They have to wait until shields are down. But if they can play it and get away with it and keep it safe, think it's nuts. I mean, look at things like Pull from Tomorrow, right? Like, just drawing a whole bunch of cards, and that could be a finisher even in certain circumstances. But even if you're not doing that, just small spells, small card draw spells, cantrips, tons and tons and tons of value all day long. I love this card. It's legendary, of course. This could be your commander. Maybe just make a commander deck that revolves around this and drawing a whole bunch of cards and getting through your deck, and maybe some counter magic to back it up or something. That could be an interesting build. Maybe not a popular one amongst your friends, but an interesting one. And there you go. I love this card. And again, this combos with so many things too. Like Spell Clamp is maybe the most obvious. I think they mentioned that in its reveal article on Wizards today. But if you put that clamp on one of these insects, you draw the 2 cards, you get 2 more insects. Rinse, wash, and repeat. That gets kind of nuts too. So yeah, there's probably another 100 or so combos you can think of. That's just what came off the top of my head. But again, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to do with this card, because it's nuts. And if you're wondering what that insect token looks like, here it is. Alright, let's look at Crook of Condemnation. This costs 2. It's an artifact. Uncommon. Pay 1 and tap. Exile target card from a graveyard. Pay 1, exile Crook of Commendation. Exile all cards from all graveyards. So, obviously, the initial comparison here is Relic of Progenitus. And is it better than Relic? I don't know. It costs 1 more, and I don't know if I love that. I mean, obviously, this is going to be more mana intensive. The benefit you're getting out of it is you get to select the card that's being exiled from the graveyard as opposed to your opponent choosing a card. And yes, that's good, but if you get Relic out early enough in Modern, it just kind of doesn't matter because it also has that second ability that's kind of the catch-all default in case it came out late. So I don't know if you're looking to replace Relic with this, quite honestly, in Modern, but in Standard, this is going to be phenomenal heat for anything from, I don't know, Delirium decks to even zombie decks. So if this card existed a few months back, I don't even think Emrakul would have been a problem because it would have been harder to find that value to cast that card. And being an artifact, any deck could have run it. So I kind of wish it came in earlier because I think it could have balanced the format a little bit, prevented some of the bannings and some of the trouble we had. But it looks like Wizards is trying to, at this point, maybe start to get more of the hate cards out there to keep other strategies under control. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, this card is going to be great in Standard. Even if it's on a sideboard, it's definitely seeing play. And as far as Limited goes, there are times where this will actually have consequence. Not all the time, but when the time's right and you're like, wow, wait a minute, I have this in my sideboard, you're going to be real happy it's there. Mirage Mirror. This costs 3. It's an artifact rare. Pay 2, and this becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. I'd like this a lot. I don't know if it's good or not, but I really like it. So, I think it's good. It feels good. It can target a lot of stuff, tons of versatility. It's kind of hard to get rid of, because if someone tries to remove it as an artifact and you have the mana and a target, you can change it into maybe a creature, so your opponent won't be able to get away with that. So I like what this is doing. If your opponent's playing a, I don't know, reanimation strategy or something like that, and they plug down this huge creature, you can copy it. So there's a lot of stuff that makes me say, this card feels like it could do a lot of good things. Now, is it going to be a card that actually fits into, say, a Modern sideboard or something like that? When you have other really powerful sideboard hate cards right now, that's the question. I don't know if that's really the case. Now, this does combo with things like Dark Depths, for example, making a copy of Dark Depths. But there's also other ways to do that are more efficient right now, like Thespian Stage, for example. So maybe this is just a piece of redundancy in like a deck that's trying to do that. That's a more casual deck, perhaps. You're not going to do that, obviously, in Standard. But so maybe that's something that is a clear role for this card. But aside from that, I do think there's potential here to see Standard play. I think the raw power's here. I think it's versatile enough that there might be a deck that'll be happy to run some of these and just try to find value out of it. I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see on this one. As far as Limited goes, I'd be happy to play it. I feel like, again, I'd find things to do with this card. Scavenger Grounds. This comes to us from a Spanish language spoiler, and this is a desert land. Tap and you get a colorless, put into your mana pool, or you can pay 2 and tap and sacrifice it. Exile all cards from all graveyards. More graveyard hate. So there you go. Not too much more to say about it. What I like about this, though, is it's a land, so it can't be countered. It could be stifled, of course. The ability itself could be disallowed, but Other than that, it's just a lot harder for your opponent to deal with it if they have a counterspell or something like that. So I do like it. And again, where were you a few months back? It could have really probably helped the standard format. But I'm happy it's here now. It's definitely, again, a card that will see standard play, I think, in some capacity. Alright, having said that, those are the cards for today. And I promised a lot of good ones. I think we came through this time. I mean, today was a great day of previews. I am very excited for the set, more so than I was at the start of today. And I was pretty excited then. But these cards really kind of took it to the top for me. So we'll wait and see what else comes out over the next 24 hours. We'll be back again tomorrow with another video. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.